Hello and welcome back to TUC0's Talks. We are on episode 3 and I am very excited. This is actually one of the first things that I wrote about on my LinkedIn. It's something I'm impassioned about, and it's one of the most relevant topics to leaders today. And so we're going to talk what I've entitled, Don't Forget to Fire Yourself. It's all about how you as a new leader need to stop thinking about the old job that you used to do. Well, before we get into it, I just want to thank everyone for their comments. I had a couple of people reply back that they appreciated. Listen to episode 1, which was on the staff meeting and why that was important. And then episode 2, talking about giving permissions to leave on time. And I had one person reply back and said, that he was actually sorry to hear it because he was past his time on leadership and was able to or unable to do some of the things that we talked about. And to those that have passed their time and are not able to do it, just knowing that you can still invest in the younger leaders and do that. And so I feel a little bit of that myself, and that's what I love to do, is just invest in people and get the information out, and then they do with it what they do, and then hopefully they become better than me, and that's the choice. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're listening, and hopefully you'll be able to get something out and go from there. Well, today we are talking episode 3, Don't Forget to Fire Yourself. So this is for a couple different people. One, if you're looking to hire someone new, this is something you should absolutely listen to. If you're a brand new leader and you've moved from lower level leader to a mid-level leader, and so I say this all the time, but I don't necessarily give a definition, so I want to do that now. If you have 1 to 10 people that you're supervising, then this is really an introduction to leadership, and this is something that you can really learn. The lower level leaders, really about 10 people to 50, mid-level 50 to 200, and then 200 to 1,000 is really what I call high-level leader. If you're doing more than 1,000, then you're a senior leader, and more than 5,000, that's executive-level leadership, and that's really a whole nother ball game and something that we'll walk through later. But today, we're going to talk about the lower leader, someone who's supervising or in charge of 10 to 50 people, 10 to 50 people, and then the mid-level leader, 50 to 200. And if you're in a school, that doesn't include students, and so that's really how I work it. So if you're looking at a lower level leader, you're in charge of 10 to 50 people, you're doing the job. Like, you're on the lower level and you're engaging with whatever the mission is. When you approach that mid-level leader, 50 to 200, you're probably not on the lower echelons. You're not in the trenches, as we called it in the military. You're working more staff level things. And so when you get promoted to that mid-level, your natural desire is you want to still see what's happening with that job. And so when you move in the same organization and you're promoted up, you have to understand your natural tendency is to still want to do the job that you just left. You want to make sure that those programs are going to be run the same way. You want to make sure your staff that you had at the 10 to 50 people are still taken care of, and you want to invest in them, and you want to handle them, and you want them to come into your office and talk to them because you're still in charge of them. But you can't do that. You cannot do that. You have to fire yourself from your old job, and you have to think about the new job. And the problem is you don't know the new job. It's difficult. It's hard. There are some things that you're going to fail miserably at, and you want to go and spend time in the job that you had, that you were excellent at, that people saw the potential that you could do more at, and you have to leave that behind and move on. And that is very difficult. So if you're hiring someone, if you're hiring them, you need to look for people. If it's the internal candidate that you're going to use, you need to make sure that they understand the problem. If you're a new leader, you need to look to say, over the last year, have I fired myself? Am I still doing the job? Am I still seeing those people? And if they're having problems, are you asking them to come to you? Or are you saying, I'm sorry, go to the person who now is my old job and talk to them. And if the two of you can't handle that, then both of you come to me, and you're empowering your people. And when you don't empower your person and you're like, oh, I can take care of it, you're cutting the rug underneath that leader, and you are putting your direct support person in a really, really bad position. And so understanding that naturally that you're going to do that will help you fight that and make sure that you understand what's happening exactly when it does. There's so much comfort in the old job. There's so much comfort in the old people that you would work with, but you have to embrace the new. All right. The new person that's taking your old job. So when you move up and you're a director or assistant director and you move up to a director, that new assistant director has to figure it out on their own. You want to help the person, you want to empower the person, but you don't want to give them direct steps to do everything. You want them to struggle. And that's hard to understand. And failure may not be exact word that you want them to do, but you do want them to struggle. And they need to figure out the why of what they do. And if they don't figure out their own process, they may not figure out that they actually have a better process than the one that you had. So allowing them to falter, allowing them to not succeed immediately may have massive benefits later on. And so you need to be able to work that out. When you dig into the weeds, you lose the focus on your job. Your job, theoretically, is more important. Your job is a higher echelon. Your job is clearing more obstacles for more people. And when you dive into the weeds of your lower level job, not only are you taking it away from the leader who replaced you, but you're not focused on the things that you need to, and you're going to lose effectiveness in the overarching problem, and you're actually hurting the team more. You have to let people struggle and learn. You have to let people become non-dependent on you. If they become dependent, that's a problem, because you might as well not even have the job anymore, right? If you're going to do both jobs. And so that person, if you continually provide feedback of exactly what to do, they're either going to become dependent or they're going to figure out a better way, but feel like they can't execute that because you are going to stop them, and they will become resentful of you. There is little that I just can detest than a boss that is telling me what to do every single time. And it takes a while, for me at least, to figure out, hey, boss, I need you to step away. I need you to let me do it. You know, I have to be very confident before I can tell my boss that. And it becomes uncomfortable, and you don't really know how that's going to go. And I had a boss that I told that to, and the boss got very mad, and it was not a good situation for about 2 days. And then the boss came back to me and was like, you know what? You're right. I do need to let you do it on your own. And so to avoid all that, you can get there. And I too have stepped in and done that before. So definitely not calling anyone else out on that. So that is a struggle. The biggest thing that you need to understand is you weren't the best ever at what you did. You weren't. And no matter who you are, I'm sure you did exceptional. If you didn't do exceptional, they wouldn't have promoted you to a new job. But things can be done. It is extremely prideful of you to think that your way is the only way or the best way. And so stop and take a thought on that. Now, I remember I had a boss who went from a lower level to a mid-level, and he could not let it go. Ultimately, he was counseled, and the overall morale of the unit went way down because things weren't being taken care of like they were. And so that was very hard for all of us to work through. So ultimately, do not forget to fire yourself. These are the concepts that you'll need to learn. These are the implications that are out there. So if you're a boss and you're looking to hire someone, you need to look to see, is this internal candidate who is doing outstanding, do they have the ability to let it go? And that should be absolutely part of your questions that you ask the person. Are you able to focus on the things? And will you have the ability to have confidence in whoever comes in to allow them to do whatever they need to do? And those lines of questionings and those lines of direction are critical for you as the senior leader to be able to work that through. Second, as the new leader, where have I failed in the past? Because I would assume that you have failed at some point. How do I fix that problem? And then how do I set the example for that person and really give them permission to try on their own and faltering and to work through things? And then lastly is, as you're trying to look for your new position, if you're going into a new position, really creating that continuity. We called it a continuity binder, where we had things that we needed to do. Create the base model for that. Set your team and your people up for success and let them know that exactly what needs to be done, but how they do it, I would leave some of that out. Give them the natures of who to talk to and things like that, but not the exact details. And then the last thing that I would say, when you have your exit with your team, so if you have 10 to 50 people, I would call the team together and I would go in and bring in the new leader, whoever that is going to be, or if it's a new person, and publicly in front of everyone, tell them how excited you are to have this new person. This new person is there for them. They are your center point of contact. If you have any problems, go to them. I need to be working on a higher level and need to be working with other people, but this new leader and I are going to talk constantly, and I'm going to get information, and I'm so excited to hear about what you're going to do over the next bit. I'm excited to hear the new vision. I'm excited to hear how you're going to execute it, how this person's going to lead it, and then walk out. Don't stay in the meeting. Walk out. And that's critical because now you are handing the keys over to the new leader. You are empowering them. You are telling them, this is your person. This is your leader. And then you walk out of the meeting and it says, this person's in charge. I'm out. And that's how you set people up for success. And that's how you fire yourself. If you have yet to do that, and it's within the 6-month category, you can still go back and do it. You can still go back and say, over the last few months, I've really seen this person come up. Y'all are doing well. I'm excited to see where we're going. We're constantly in communication. I'm getting updates. He's doing fantastic. She's doing excellent, whatever it is, but empower that person to lead. It becomes a little more tricky after 6 months. And I think that's just a lesson learned that you can get to. All right. So again, don't forget to fire yourself. Next week, we're going to talk about transparency and how much do you want to tell your staff, and is it okay not to tell your staff some things? And we'll talk about how to break that down and how to work through it. So, well, hopefully you've gotten a little bit out of episode 3. I am very appreciative for everyone who has jumped on, who sent me communications. Please let me know what you think. And until next time, y'all have a great week. This is TUC0's Wright, checking off.